There's a reason the Honda Civic name still gets people talking. Decade after decade, it's been the go-to compact sedan that somehow balances logic and emotion. But the 2026 Honda Civic Sedan takes that legacy and adds a level of refinement that might just make it the smartest car in its class, and the one that finally makes hybrids cool again. At first glance, it looks familiar, sharp, clean, and mature. But spend a minute with it, and you'll realize this is a car that's evolved without screaming about it. The new Civic Sedan feels like that quiet kid in class who turned into a confident adult. It doesn't beg for attention, yet it owns the road with presence. The proportions are tighter, the stance sits lower, and the front fascia looks more expensive than it has any right to at this price point. The 2026 model carries forward Honda's hybrid revolution that started with the Accord and CR-V. Even the standard non-hybrid 2.0-liter engine, with its roughly 150 horses, feels balanced for what it is. It's tuned more for smoothness and reliability than drama. But the real story this year is the hybrid. It's the version that redefines what practical can feel like. And the numbers prove it. Around 50 miles per gallon in the city, about 47 on the highway. And you can actually believe those figures because Honda doesn't exaggerate. Inside, Honda has done something really smart. It didn't try to reinvent the wheel, it just made everything better. The cabin feels like a space designed by people who actually drive. Every control is exactly where it should be. The horizontal lines stretch across the dash to create width, and that iconic honeycomb metal mesh hiding the air vents gives it a modern, high-end look. Materials feel more expensive than expected, even on lower trims. And for once, the infotainment system doesn't frustrate you. It's quick, intuitive, and finally feels up to date. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto work without a glitch. The sound system in the Sport Touring hybrid is crystal clear, and the digital cluster gives the interior a premium vibe. Comfort is another big step forward. Honda found a sweet spot between firm and forgiving. On rough roads, the Civic absorbs bumps gracefully. On twisty roads, it stays composed. You can actually have fun with this car again. The steering is precise, the chassis is balanced, and the suspension feels like it's working with you, not against you. It's the kind of handling that makes you smile. Not because it's fast, but because it's so predictable and planted. Now, a small but important point, the hybrid doesn't come with a manual transmission. That might break some hearts, but the way Honda tuned its simulated shift logic means you still get that sensation of gear changes under acceleration. It's not the same as rowing your own gears, but it's engaging in its own right. And honestly, for a hybrid daily driver, it's a perfect compromise. One of the Civic's strongest points has always been real-world usability, and that continues here. Space inside is excellent for the segment. Rear passengers have more legroom than most rivals, although that sleek roofline slightly trims headroom. The trunk is decently sized, not massive, but practical enough for road trips and daily life. It's clear that Honda thought about real owners, people with kids, groceries, luggage, and commutes. Then comes the value story, and this is where the 2026 Civic shines even brighter. The base LX sedan starts in the mid-$24,000 range, while the hybrid versions start around $29,000 and go up to the low $30,000 for the fully loaded Sport Touring hybrid. When you factor in the mileage, the tech, the resale value, and Honda's bulletproof reliability, it's hard to find a better deal in the segment. You could go for a Corolla hybrid or an Elantra hybrid, but neither offers this level of polish and driver engagement at the same time. Honda Sensing is now standard across the lineup, bringing adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, collision mitigation braking, and traffic jam assist. Safety tech that doesn't nag you, but genuinely helps. The system is smoother than before, and in city driving it works naturally. But of course, no car is perfect. The Civic has a couple of minor quirks. The rear window design slightly limits visibility, and lower trims get smaller infotainment screens that feel outdated next to the upper models. The rear seat cushion could also use a bit more support on long drives. Small things, but worth noting if you spend a lot of time driving or hauling passengers. Overall though, this new Civic doesn't just feel like an update. It feels like Honda relearned what made this car great in the first place. It's beautifully balanced between efficiency and emotion. You can drive it hard on a Sunday and cruise quietly to work on Monday. It's grown up but not boring. It's responsible without being dull. It's the car that reminds you why sedans still matter in a world obsessed with SUVs. And that's why the 2026 Honda Civic Sedan might just be the best Civic in years. It's smarter, faster where it counts, cheaper to own, and more refined than most of its rivals. The hybrid system transforms the way this car moves. The design finally matches the premium feel, and the everyday livability is exactly what made Civic owners loyal in the first place. If you've been waiting for a reason to fall back in love with the Civic name, this is it. The 2026 Civic isn't trying to be loud or flashy. It's just quietly doing everything right. And maybe that's why it's going to be one of the most talked about cars of the year.